The July air is warm against my face, but I am frozen in a dark embrace. I close my eyes and I am back right there, beneath the open sky and summer air. We lay together on the uncut grass and wish the midnight hours would never pass. The cosmos stretched above us wide and bright and wrapped us in a safe, unchanging light. I held you close, my face against your chest, and felt my racing spirit find its rest. The joy was so intense, so deep and true, that tears of pure devotion fell for you. They rolled down warm against my smiling cheek, a happiness so great I could not speak. To be so loved beneath the open sky, I never thought that memories could die. But now the stars are eclipsed by the dark, and in my ashes there is not a spark. The beautiful world we built is completely gone, and I am left to face a bitter dawn. It is all over, broken at the floor, and those sweet summer nights will come no more. The worst despair human hearts can give is this slow fading, while I try to sees my face, a hollow phantom in a crowded place. My heart still moves, but all the fire is gone. I am a ghost that wanders on and on. I die a little more with every breath, a living person locked in silent death. I hold that tearful summer in my mind, the only piece of me I left behind. They stand in circles pointing from the shade, weigh the choices that I proudly made. They count my stumbles, measure out my stride, and mistake my silence for a lack of pride. They whisper verdicts down the narrow street, predicting all the walls that I will meet. But this is my life, not a script they wrote, and I will not sail inside their borrowed boat. If I should fall, the bruises are my own. I pay the price for every seed I've sown. My heavy errors are my own to bear, not clothes for everyone to watch and wear. A map is useless if you never stray. I'd rather lose my footing on the way than sit in safety, frozen in their mold, and let my living story grow too cold. They offer warnings masquerading as care, but there is only judgment in the air. They wanna fix the cracks inside my wall before they even watch the timber fall. But every fracture is a place for light, a lesson learned to make the vision bright. I claim my failures, wrap them in my chest. They are the steps that lead me to my best. So let them judge the path beneath my feet and call my independence a defeat. I own the wreckage just as I own the grace, and no one else can ever take my place. Take my place. They crowd around my borders, sharp and loud, and weave a heavy, suffocating shroud in my own home where safety ought to live. They have no grace or gentleness to give. Their bitter verdicts echo down the hall. They paint my failures big upon the wall. They push me closer, closer to the brink, and do not care how deep they make me sink. Everything will be fine. I choose to stand. They want the dark to swallow up my name, to turn my living living, breathing self to blame. Sometimes the pressure weighs 1,000 tons, and through my veins a cold exhaustion runs. They make it feel like there is no way out, enclosing me in walls of fear and doubt. They push me toward the edge to let it end, but that is not the path that I intend. Everything will be fine. I choose to stand. I choose to stand. I do not want to vanish in the night. I want to live, I want to see the light. My heart still beats, a stubborn, steady drum, defending the bright days that are to come. This pain is just a chapter, not the book. No matter how intensely grim they look, I will not let their poison steal my breath, or let their cruel hands dictate my death. I hold a quiet promise in my chest. My life is mine, and I will win the day. The silver bracelet still sits on my desk. The clasp you mended with such careful grace. It takes me back to that specific cliff, our secret, wild and windy hiding place. The ocean roared 100 feet below, while we just watched the summer twilight glow. You wrapped your heavy denim coat around my shivering shoulders as the sun went down. We shared a single blanket on the grass, far from the noise and judgment of the town. Pointed out the first faint evening star and whispered that no goal was ever too far. I love the way the sea wind tangled through your hair and how your eyes turned darker blue. Pulled me close against your steady chest, and for an hour the world was completely at rest. We did even speak. We only listen close to how the crashing waves met the coast. You took my hand and traced the open palm, and in that touch my restless mind grew calm. The smell of salt water and pine tree wood, a perfect moment where we understood that we were safe against the rising tide, with nowhere else to go, not to hide. But now I stand upon that ridge alone. The grass is dry, the earth has turned to stone. The denim coat is gone, the wind is cold, and there is no one left for me to hold. I watch the waves explode against the shore and weep for what is gone forevermore. They tell me that my time is coming soon, to find my path beneath the wider moon. They say my future waits a distant shore, while they keep tracking mud across the floor. But it is hard to map the person I will be when everyone is drowning out the sight of me. They are too busy looking in the glass and waiting for their own regrets to pass. My true arrival has to wait behind their noise. Talk about themselves, their old regrets, the rules they broke, the heavy unpaid debts. But when the consequence comes knocking at the door, they turn away and leave it on the floor. No one steps up to say this fault was mine. They just shift the blame and draw another line. They act like children playing in the dark and expect my hands to carry every spark. My true arrival has to wait behind their noise. But how can I begin to build my soul when I am busy patching up their hole? I have to watch their steps and clear the track, because they never look behind their back. They take no ownership of what they break and leave me paying for the moves they make. My true them keep their blindness and their game. I see exactly who is left to blame. I'll hold my pieces steady and find out who I am entirely new. The morning bell is like a heavy gavel, a daily trial where I am condemned. I walk the halls and watch the whispers travel, a bitter storm that never seems to end. The teachers look at me with cold frustration, the students turn away or mock my name. They write me off as human devastation and turn my very breathing into shame. They think I am an emptiness, a failure, a hollow shadow drifting through the crowd. The constant weight of all their cruel behavior has made my inner voice no longer loud. I feel like nothing, stripped of all my color, a ghost that wanders down the concrete floor. Each day is darker, heavier and duller, as safety disappears from every door. I brought the wreckage home to find shelter, to tell my parents how the poison burns. I hoped for open arms inside the welter, but found a cold tribunal in its turn. They added to the stones the world was throwing. They blame my weakness, call my tears a lie. With every word the heavy trap was closing, leaving me nowhere left to run or cry. They think I am an emptiness, a failure, a hollow shadow drifting through the crowd. The constant weight of all their cruel behavior has made my inner voice no longer loud. Dead and quiet, a burned out house where no more fires glow. I cannot stand the noise, the endless riot, the pressure pushing from the world below. They've made me feel like is better, to leave the empty desk and silent hall, to break the heavy iron off this fetter and let the final quiet curtain fall. The midnight sky still holds the summer heat. but I am walking on a different street. I close my eyes and see the open field, where every hidden wound we had was healed. We lay beneath the canopy of stars, so far away from all our wounds and scars. I felt you breathing steady, deep and slow, and watched the silver constellations glow. The joy was such a sharp and piercing thing, to hear the quiet song the night would sing. Warm tears of absolute surrender fell, a happiness no human tongue could tell. They wet my cheeks because my heart was full, drawn toward your spirit by a gravity pull. We built a castle out of words and air, and placed our highest hopes and wishes there. We spoke of families we wanted to raise, of children laughing through the summer days. Dreamed of kitchens bright with morning light, and holding hands into the deepest night. We wanted it so much we hoped and prayed for that sweet life we thought we had remade. We drew the plans upon the dusty ground, believing in the future we had found. But now the blueprint lies in ruined ash, a beautiful dream that vanished in a flash. The garden that we planted never grew, and all the sky has lost its brilliant blue. It is all over now, the bridge is down, the lights are fading in this quiet town. The words we spoke are locked inside the past, a sacred promise that was made to last, but broke beneath the weight of passing time, leaving me guilty of no actual crime. The worst destruction that a heart can give is this slow fading while you have to live. I walk among the crowds, a hollow shell, a living person in a quiet hell. Or how the girl they knew is completely lost. I sit in rooms where laughter fills the space, a mask of concrete frozen on my face, an empty vessel drifting on the sea, unsure of who I used to wanna be. I see the mothers pushing strollers by and look up blindly at the graying sky. That was the life I wanted to command, the simple future slipping through my hand. It hurts to watch the world just move along while I am stuck inside a broken song. The living people talk and make their plans with burning fire inside their open hands, while I am cold, a shadow in the street, with heavy iron chained around my feet. But look at me, I will not die again. I've reached the very bottom of the pain. The worst has happened and the storm has cleared. I survived the very darkness that I feared. They cannot break a heart that's already stone. They cannot leave me more than just alone. The living girl may wander in the shade, but she will never let her spirit fade. You cannot kill a ghost that walks the floor. You cannot lock an already broken door. I've wept the final tear for what is gone, and though I am a shadow hidden power flows. I will not fall, I will not disappear. I am the master of my own deep fear. We used to carve our names in summer trees, with dirt on both our faces, scraped up knees. You knew the quiet language of my heart, a sisterhood we swore would never part. We shared our blankets, secrets, and our bread, and built a bridge out of the words we said. We survived the playground bullies and the rain, two halves of one whole shelter from the pain. But envy is a dark and quiet snake that watches for a fragile bond to break. They couldn't stand to see our light shine bright, so they went whispering into the night. They carried venom painted up as truth, to ruin all the memories of our youth. They wove a web of bitter, hollow lies, and brought their plastic poison in disguise. The tragedy is not the words they spun, or how they left to see us come undone. The deepest cut, the sharp and bleeding part, is how you let their poison change your heart. You didn't ask me if the tales were true. You didn't look at me, the friend you knew. You traded 15 years of solid ground for filthy rumors drifting through the town. You threw away our kingdom for their game, and stood beside the ones who dragged my name. I see you walking with them in the yard, your posture distant and your expression hard. They won the war, they didn't have to fight, because you turned your back against the light. Buried beneath their lies and shifting sand. You threw away our kingdom for their game, and stood beside the ones who dragged my name. I see you walking with them in the yard, your posture distant and your expression hard. They won the war, they didn't have to fight, 'cause you turned your back against the lights. I watch the way you hold your coffee cup and how you always trace the wooden rim. I see you looking through the window pane as afternoon begins to fade and dim. I still remember how we crossed our paths, an accidental meeting in the crowd. We didn't look for love or make a plan, but suddenly our world was bright and proud. I carry that nostalgia every day, the sudden warmth of your unexpected hand. We were two strangers in a rushing storm who built a shelter on a piece of land. I miss the way you smiled without a word, the gentle quiet safety of your chest. We found a happy moment in our lives, a beautiful space where both of us could rest. Sit alone inside the kitchen, quiet, and wear the heavy jacket that I bought. I wish that I could reach and touch your sleeve to answer all the lonely things you thought. You look so lost, adjusting to the room and placing fresh white flowers on the sill. Talk to me as if I'm standing there, and in a way my spirit loves you still. Do not be sad because I am not there to walk beside you in the autumn was perfect, unexpected, true, a golden thing untouched by any pain. You wipe a tear and look up at the air and wonder where my quiet steps have gone. I am not hiding in another room, I am in heaven, cheering you. They cast their heavy shadows at the door and speak in whispers sharp as broken glass. Within the very walls that should protect, they tell her who she is and judge her past. The house is cold with rules she did not write. The air is thick with all they disapprove. It feels as though they watch her every breath and condemn every step she tries to move. Everything will be fine. Pressure builds, a cruel and constant tide that tries to drag her down into the deep. They push her to the edge of her despair and do not care how many tears she weeps. The house is cold with rules she did not write. The air is thick with all they disapprove. It feels as though they watch her every breath and condemn every step she tries to move. Everything will be fine. She chooses to stay. It would be easy just to let it fade, to let the darkness have the final word. They shout their verdicts loud into the room, hoping her inner voice remains unheard. But deep inside, a stubborn ember burns. She does not want the night to take her whole. She wants to see the morning break again and keep the quiet ownership of her soul. Everything will be fine. She chooses to survive.